This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. There's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. State of the Saints podcast powered by BetUS. Sign up today and get up to 150% on your first three deposits up to $2,000. All you have to do is go to BetUS and use the promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube 150, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the show about how easy it is with BetUS. But I want to say thank you for stopping by the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. As you can see, I'm back at home, man. Got here probably about 2-3 hours ago, maybe. My plane touched down in Myrtle Beach, took an Uber home, because my wife, she was at work. But I'm back here, man. I'm back at the office. And, I'm really excited. Had a really good time down in New Orleans, the hometown. It's always great to go home, to be able to see your old stomping grounds, man. Got opportunity to stop by my old high school, George Washington Carver High School, right there on 3059 Higgins. Shouts out to all my Carver Rams out there. 20 years, man. I've been out of high school, man. We're celebrating our 20-year class reunion. So I want to give a special shout out to the 2004 class there. But I had a really good time at the football game as well. Got a chance to, chop it up with my dad. I was at the game with him. My mom, she came through for the post-game show. We were at the Little Easy, 634 Julia Street. Special shout out to them. I mean, it was just great, man, for them to open up their doors. I mean, it was extremely humbling. And a special shout out to Zach from Real Sports Podcast. Also want to give a special shout out to Hoodie, Chosen, and so many others, man, that stopped by that were supporters of the State of the Saints podcast and have been. And it's good to actually, see these individuals in person. I was extremely humbled, man. I'll be lying to you if I didn't tell you that if I wasn't emotional about the situation, just the fact that, you have so many people that actually show love and support. I tell everybody this, man. And I know this has nothing to do with the podcast, itself and what we're going to be talking about. But, I started doing this podcast in my apartment closet. And I couldn't even really afford a decent webcam. And I went from that to actually being able to, do the State of Saints podcast at an actual venue, I'll be lying to you if I wouldn't, looking back at that as I was, traveling home and just putting that thing into perspective there. But I understand that wouldn't happen without fine folks that believe in your boy. So thank you so much for believing in me, supporting the show, liking and sharing. If this is your first time checking out the show, hopefully it won't be your last. I promise you we get into it. But we're going to be talking a little bit about the final thoughts of the Saints 47-10 victory over the Carolina Panthers. A lot has been said so far about this game. A lot of people have their opinions about where our emotions should lie when it comes to this game. We'll get into that. I also want to talk a little bit about week 2, right? I mean, it's time for us to fast forward. It was great to see the New Orleans Saints offense on full display as well as the defense. But now it's time to move on to week 2, and it's going to be a little bit more stiff competition. And I'm going to tell you why I feel like the Saints have a really strong chance of beating the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, I just said that on this show. And no, I'm not being a homer when I say this. And hopefully by the end of this, I have made you believe as well. But let's go ahead and read some of your comments here, or give a special shout out to all of those in the comments right now. We'll get to the comments later. Brian, Jerry, Pastor Timothy Moore, T. Lord, Godson, Jason, Nola Girl. We got the Book of Mac up in here. We got C. Jones. We got Leslie. We got Keen Arthur who's here. Thank you for being here, brother. Efren, thank you. Adrian, Jordan, Robert, B-Rock, and Mr. Barnes. Hurry up and buy up in this thing. Robin Tube, Booker, Nakeem Booker. 5-time. I'm just playing. But thank you all for being here, man. I really do appreciate it. And special shout out to all those that can't be here. Shouts out to all the after show boys and after show girls.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there, and shouts out to all those that are not in the chat right now. It's probably watching this live. Really do appreciate it. But let's go ahead and get into it, man. Giving our final thoughts on the Saints 47-10 dominant performance. Number one, I think we all can start with none of us thought that this game was going to look this way. I definitely didn't think that. I thought that the Carolina Panthers would have absorbed some of the issues that plagued them with the new addition of Dave Canales as their head coach. I thought that they would have been a little bit more formidable. I thought they had a little bit more offensive weaponry. Maybe that would have been, something that helped them out. But it's pretty obvious that the Carolina Panthers have a lot of work to do, but that's not the Saints' problem. And I've been hearing a lot of Saints fans out here that are very skeptical about this performance and talking about, oh, it's just the Panthers. And, this is a professional football team. I've seen teams that haven't won a game and go out there and beat some of the stiffest competition in football. And it doesn't change my mind about what I saw on Sunday. It doesn't change my mind at all, because you have a lot of people out there that didn't feel that the New Orleans Saints would even be able to muster up as many points as they did, or even look as formidable as they did. And you have a lot of people out there that are moving the goalposts. I feel like you have some Saints fans out there that just want to be upset, that just want to be unhappy, that don't want to be satisfied. And maybe it has a lot to do with the fact that maybe you don't believe in Dennis Allen, still don't believe in Derek Carr as the quarterback. You may feel like, oh, these guys aren't the right, the answer. So maybe, rooting for them, maybe make it feels like I'm actually supporting them and I don't want them to be there. But I feel like if you're thinking like that, then you may need to find something else to do. Look, I ain't never in my entire life sit down and been upset about a Saints victory. I'm serious. I ain't never been ho-hum. I ain't never been, oh, woe is me. Like, oh, we just beat them. Nah, man. Anytime you beat an NFL team, anytime you go into your stadium and you handle up on business, you stand on business, that is something to be proud of. There's not a fan of another team. There's not another Saints fan that can change my mind. A lot of people, I've been, talking to, mostly Falcon fans, because, they thought their team was going to look like something. Oh, yeah, and I want to make this very, very I want to tell y'all this very, very interesting stat. Over the last 6 contests, right? Dating back, 2019? Let's go back to 2018. Since 2018, the Atlanta Falcons are 1-5 in season opening games. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, 1-5. Wait a minute. Let me 18, 19, 21, 2, 3. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. 1-6. My bad. I mean, my bad. I mean to give them. I mean to, not give them a loss they deserve. 1-6 over their last 7 week 1 games. And yet they want to sit up here talking about somebody need to wear a bag over their head. Lord have mercy. But look, all I'm saying is you play the games that are in front of you. You play the teams that are in front of you. You play to win the games. It's just that plain. It's just that simple, right? And the New Orleans Saints went up in there and they handled up on business. Now, we all know if the New Orleans Saints would end up losing to the Carolina Panthers, what would have been the narrative? And I think somebody has said this. I think I heard this on countless occasions here on the State of the Saints podcast. It was a damn if you do, damn if you don't type situation for the Saints. If the Saints win, then all they doing is playing the Panthers. If they lose, they lost to the Panthers. So it was a lose-lose situation anyway. So a lot of people had, those little narratives going in order, if just in case, the Saints look this way, they can have something or a leg to stand on. But all I'm saying is you play to win the games. All right. I was watching over the weekend, my alma mater, Jackson State University. They took on Lane College, and Lane College has a brand new coach, a guy who actually came from Jackson State. He gets a head coaching opportunity. Jackson State went out there and put 3 foots, not 3 foots in them boys, right? And people are like, man, it's just Lane. I don't care. It's a win. I'm still going to be saying, JSU rock the house. I'm still going to be playing Get Ready. I'm still going to ask Alexa, play Get Ready. You know why? Because I'm excited, because I'm a JSU alumni. I'm excited because the New Orleans Saints won the football game. Like, save that for a loss or something like that, man. Look, the team came in with a lot of question marks. Where was the offense going to come from? Who was going to be the playmakers? And it wasn't perfect. It was not, which we're going to get to in a few more minutes. It was not a perfect performance by the New Orleans Saints. Now, a lot of it got kind of, swept under the rug because how dominant they look. But there are some things they're going to have to fix if they're going to be formidable against formidable teams. But I ain't about to boo-hoo over no loss. Like, y'all can do that. Like, y'all can have that, all right? I ain't got no time for it. Also, you got to give credit to Alontae Taylor. He really stepped up. And, I'm really optimistic about what I see out of Alontae Taylor. This is a guy, to me, that's figuring it out. And he kind of reminds me, and it's crazy because they actually went to the same school. He reminds me a little bit of Eric Berry. He reminds me of him. Like Eric Berry was that guy that was all over the field. He wasn't the fastest guy, but he was that guy that was always making an impact. He was always around the football, and his name was always called. And he kind of reminds me of Eric Berry in that regard, man. He had 3 sacks in the game. And, I was talking to my guy. Shouts out to my boy, Derek Augustine, man. Derek, y'all can catch him, on The Rookie on ABC, man. He's on there this season. But, he was talking about his relationship with Alontae Taylor, and he said that, he told Alontae, you got to turn up, man, to do the best that you possibly can, man. It was a little bit of a transition going from the outside to the nickel, and now you're kind of familiar with that position. Now it's time for you to go out there and put it all together, and he did. And if the New Orleans Saints can play like they did, and this secondary can play the way that they have, it's going to be hard to beat the New Orleans Saints, especially if that defense is playing like that. And then also, look, there comes a time when you just got to give credit where credit is due. And when you look at Dennis Allen, I understand that he leaves a lot to be desired as a head coach. I think that most people, when they look at head coaches, they want them to resemble that of Mike Tomlin, like some of these other coaches out here, Tony Dungy. Like we want them to like be leaders of men. And when we look at them, we like, man, we got a fearless leader here. But, I can give him credit in this regard. Rather, it was his idea or the organization's. They understood that this guy's calling card is defense, and he is really good at what he does. So if you get somebody that can complement him and come through with a formidable offense, and we only seen this in one game, but Clint Kubiak did a really good job. If Clint Kubiak can coach the offense like this and have them playing like this, and DA can have the defense playing the way that they have, why can't the Saints have double-digit wins? Seriously, why can't they have double-digit wins? A good defense, a good running game, and offensive innovation that travels, and you can beat anybody on any given Sunday. It don't have to look like it did against Carolina. You ain't got to put 47 points on them. You can probably win by a touchdown. You can probably win by a field goal. As long as you're sustaining drives, it really doesn't matter. So why not? I just think that we look at this and we have to we think to ourselves, man, like Can this team put up 30, 40 points a game? But why do you have to put up 30, 40 points a game? Now, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to go toe-to-toe with some of the best. But at the same time, if you have a good defense, you could be in one of those phone booth games because that defense puts you in that position. And it might come down to who can make the play to win the game. And I think the Saints can do that. And I don't feel like I'm being delusional when I say that. And we're going to talk a little bit about why I feel like the New Orleans Saints have a really good chance. Matter of fact, I will even give you this little caveat. I feel like the Saints playing against the Cowboys, they got a better chance of beating the Cowboys than they do the Eagles. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments here, and then we'll get into it. It's not going to be a long show, folks. Just wanted to make sure that I did do a show. You know, like I said, I'm fresh off the plane. Says TJ, I love the SOTS, but I'm more excited to see the NFC NFC roundtable just to watch you troll tomorrow. Please don't be on your best behavior. We're counting on you. Hey, man, I already told y'all, man. I already told you. Like, seriously. I took, man. Like I said, tune into the NFC South Roundtable tomorrow, man. I've been trying to tell folk, man. I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm serious about what I'm saying. But the thing, I will say that, okay, NFC South Roundtable, it's a little bit of an entertainment aspect of it, right? It's my feelings. But for those that watch, it's kind of me, kind of with the volume turned up. It's how I feel. But we're going to have some fun over there, all right? Because you have a lot of fans of the Falcons that were talking about me hating and me not knowing what I'm talking about. Just because, I called Troy Anderson, Tony Anderson, right? The linebacker, right? So I automatically don't know what I'm talking about because I called him Tony Anderson. So they automatically just think that you don't know what you're talking about. First off, I don't follow your team like that. But I do know that he had a 51 PFF grade when it comes to coverage. But I digress. All I'm saying is come over there to the NFC South Roundtable tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, if you want to have yourself a good time. I got a lot to say. Did Marshall Faulk go to Carver? Yes, he did. He went to Carver. Says, I was able to watch the catch live. Hey, TJ and the Who Dat Nation. Love y'all. What's going on, C. Jones? Stroll down a little bit more. Let's see. I'm taking my 2 young sons to the game in Dallas. Who that? Well, man, go ahead and represent, man. It might be a good game for you. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, folks. I really don't believe that. TJ, I was suggesting 28-14 from the Saints, but 47-10, I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take that any day of the week. Maybe if the Saints would have gave, I'm going to say that for the NFC South, man. I'm saying I feel the bandwagon growing. It was just one game. I don't think it was a bandwagon. I think that people just needed something to believe in. I've been saying this for a while now. Saints fans just wanted something to believe in. They want to support this team. People don't want to feel bad about the Saints, but they want to have something they can actually believe in. And when you feel like the organization or you feel like they're not going in the right direction or they're being stubborn, sometimes that could make you feel reluctant to really, embrace this team. And I think yesterday, it just showed you that it's not the fact that they beat Carolina. It showed you that they cared enough in order for them to fix some of the issues that plague this football team. And I don't know, man, they may not score 47 points ever again this season or even get close to it. But it was a good reminder that this team cares. And number 2, they're going in the right direction and they're trying to create some change. Like those guys out there yesterday, if you're watching this on a Monday, they cared. They cared about being out there. They were passionate about it. You can tell they heard all the talk. Derek Carr heard about how he ain't the quarterback. DA hearing about he going to be the first coach fired when we all know it's going to be Brian Daboll because of Daniel Jones' old trash behind. But all I'm saying is they're hearing all these things. They're hearing about, Honey Badger is old, Cam Jordan is old, Demario Davis is old. Even though I ain't going to lie, them boys look kind of old yesterday, especially Demario Davis in that goal line situation. But I'm going to let that slide. He played pretty well. But all I'm saying is they've been hearing all these different things, coming out of the mouth of me, some of these other people out here, saying that they don't know what this team is actually going to be. And they put that all together and they bottled it up. Now, the question is, we seen this. Like I've been talking about seeing movies. We seen this movie before when the New Orleans Saints are being talked about like they trash and they ain't gonna be nothing and they ain't gonna win this football game. They ain't got a chance and a snowball chance in hell, as they say, of winning a football game. They go out there and they look like the best team in football. But then when everybody patting them on the back and people dancing in the street and they getting out on the Claiborne Bridge, doing the Josephine Johnny like it's 2002, like everybody singing their praise. Then all of a sudden, they go out there and be about as stale as bread left up on the counter for 24 hours. So I just want the real New Orleans Saints to please stand up and be consistent. But I like the message that DA was talking about. He wasn't talking about no victory Monday and all that kind of stuff. He said, we going right back to work tomorrow. That's what he said. Like, so they understand the assignment. And if these guys can actually get it together and they can stay focused and dialed in, why can't the New Orleans Saints be one of the top teams in NFC? Why can't they win a division? Why can't they have double-digit wins? Now, it's not going to be easy. As we've seen, Tampa looked pretty good yesterday. The Falcons, defensively, they looked all right. Carolina, they got a lot of work to do. But it's like I said, I don't feel like anybody has the competitive advantage over the other. I think that every team has done the best they possibly can to try to improve some of the things that they were actually lacking. And, when you do that, you're already kind of like in the same space. So if you improve and every other team improves their issues, you're basically going to be in the same pace. It's almost like, okay, if you move up to this level, they move up to this level, they move up to this level if they're at the top. So it's going to be, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a dogfight. Nobody is going to just completely just get a stranglehold of this division. But I want to take this moment to thank the fine folks at BetUS. BetUS is the sponsor here on the State of the Saints podcast. And, right now, if you sign up, you get 150% sign up bonus on your first 3 deposits. And it's very, very simple, man. It's very simple to use. Here's on the website. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up right now. So this right here is, the betting odds for the New Orleans Saints to make the playoffs. Now, we're all excited. Well, let me go ahead and sign back in real quick. Let me sign back in real quick. My bad. All right, so we log back in. All right, so the chances of Carolina, for example, Carolina minus 4,000, okay? So if you feel like, man, they ain't making the playoffs, you can make a bid on that. Also, the Detroit Lions, right? They're minus 400 to make the playoffs, which is a really strong chance they're going to make the playoffs, especially after the performance that they had against the Rams, man, showing that smash mouth style football. But the Saints chances of not making the playoffs is minus 130, folks, minus 130. Now, if you feel like, man, you crazy, what I seen yesterday, the New Orleans Saints going to make it to the postseason, guess what? You can go ahead and make a bet, man. You can sign up. Once again, sign up. You can use the promo code YouTube150, and you will save up to 150% on your first 3 deposits. So once again, special shout out to the fine folks at BetUS powering the State of the Saints podcast. But let's go ahead and get back into it. Now, I mentioned that I feel like the Saints have a strong chance of winning this football game. Now, before anybody start laughing at me and feel like I'm crazy about feeling the way that I do, all I got to say is I got a few reasons I feel like the New Orleans Saints have a really good chance of beating the Dallas Cowboys. All right. Number one, despite the fact that the last time we seen the Dallas Cowboys, they looked pretty doggone dominant themselves, beating up on the Cleveland Browns in their home stadium. I mean, they basically ran them boys off the field. But when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I see a team that the Saints can really match up against really well. Here's the thing. The Saints, because they're so deep in their secondary, they can play man coverage against the Dallas Cowboys. If somebody like, CeeDee Lamb, who had like 5 catches the other day. I mean, he had like 56 yards, something of that nature. If you're lined up against Marshawn Lattimore, if he's going to play, and everybody's saying that, the hamstring injury wasn't as serious, and maybe, the fact that, Saints were dominant in that game versus Carolina, he really didn't have opportunity or a chance to really come back in the game. He didn't need to. So maybe by, Sunday, he'll be ready to go. But if he doesn't, I'm okay with Paulson Adebo being on CeeDee Lamb. I think that Saints fans have like this perception of Paulson Adebo, and they're looking at him like this dude is just, he is just the number 2. I don't know if you've been watching Paulson Adebo play, but when you have a cornerback like Marshawn Lattimore, teams aren't really testing Lattimore like that. So Paulson Adebo is going to get the majority of the targets, which he did on Sunday. And he did a very formidable job. No other cornerback was targeted more, meaning thrown to on their side more than Paulson Adebo was. And I think that he did formidable. I like Paulson Adebo. I think Paulson Adebo has played so well. Look, I might sound crazy to some people. He has played so well. It's almost like Marshawn Lattimore can be expendable at the end of the season, especially if Kool-Aid McKinstry ends up being everything that we think he's going to be, and he looks the part. Then you have Rico Payton, who probably is going to be like a really good nickel corner for the New Orleans Saints. He got into the game, had a pass deflection. So he's capitalizing on the opportunity that he had. He's making plays just like he did in the preseason. So all in all I'm saying is when you got guys that can actually match up across the board man to man, I think that you'll be fine. Another thing, Dak Prescott, even though I'm going to pull up Dak Prescott's numbers here from yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. But Dak Prescott, we know that Dak Prescott can throw for 250, 300 yards, multiple touchdowns. But all I'm saying is when he plays against the New Orleans Saints, he doesn't set the world on fire. I can't remember if he's ever like thrown for 300 yards against the New Orleans Saints. I don't think that he's ever been like dominant in a performance. Even yesterday, he was 19 to 32, 179 yards and a touchdown. I mean, those aren't stats that, you go into a game and you just feel like he's just going to absolutely dominate. Now, the Cleveland Browns have a really good defense. So the fact that he threw for those, little yards, that's not, that's a testament to the Cleveland Browns. Like I said, they have a really good defense. But I think that the Saints defense is just as good, and close to being on the level. I don't know just yet. I mean, Myles Garrett is a beast, and I still don't see that guy that's emerging, as that multiple sack guy right now. I mean, they got pressure. Like Chase Young got a lot of pressure on Bryce Young, but he didn't get a chance to get home. But when I look at the New Orleans Saints, like they up there, like I look at them as a top 5, top 10 unit, so I can see them, neutralizing Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott can run and scramble, but the Saints have done some things to kind of rattle him. He has had turnovers. He has had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, against the New Orleans Saints. So the New Orleans Saints have really gotten an opportunity to kind of, keep him, in control. And here's another thing that I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to. And this is where I feel like, the Saints have a little bit of an advantage. Now, people will tell you, oh, the New Orleans Saints don't have a chance. They don't have a chance to win this football game, man. Look at Dallas's defense. I want to let y'all know the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys is Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer was the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings until 2021. Would you like to know who his offensive coordinator was in his final year with the Minnesota Vikings? It was Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak was his offensive coordinator. So the fact that Clint Kubiak, he was going up against Mike Zimmer's defense that entire year, because that was Mike Zimmer's final year before he was let go, and then Kevin O'Connell came. So there's that familiarity there. It's just like when the 49ers took on the Falcons a couple of years ago, you had Kyle Shanahan, and you had him going up against Dan Quinn. And again, in Atlanta at that time, they had a really good offense, but they had a really good solid defense at that particular time. But when they went up against the 49ers, you seen Kyle Shanahan being able to get the best of Dan Quinn in that particular situation. Why? Because he has a little bit of that familiarity of them going up against each other in practice, going up against each other in training camp. So to say that the New Orleans Saints can't go into AT&T Stadium and go up against a Mike Zimmer defense with Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator, to say that this guy doesn't understand the tendencies of Mike Zimmer and what he wants to do as a defensive unit, I just think that people just, they'll be sadly mistaken if they feel like, that the Saints don't have a chance. That is the advantage, in my opinion, because as good as Mike Zimmer is as a defensive coordinator, like I said, Clint Kubiak has seen it and has been around it. So that could help work for the New Orleans Saints. It is not going to look like it did on Sunday, folks. It's just not. Like the Dallas Cowboys are not. The Dallas Cowboys are still a formidable football team. They still are a football team that should be respected, because of, the talent level that they have. But they have shown that they are vulnerable and they are susceptible to losing. So I think that this is going to be a very, very close game. I'll be shocked. Shocked if this game, like a team scores 30 in this game, I would be shocked. Like, I think it's going to be like a really close game. I'm talking about like 20-17 or something, because both defenses are going to be ready to play. And I think that it's going to be, offensive, the offense that's going to make, a few more plays than the other. Now, the New Orleans Saints, they're going to have to play close to flawless football. Like those 10 penalties that they had, you're not going to be able to do that, right? Some of the things that went on in that game, like there was some plays where, guys got beat, but Bryce Young sailed the ball over his wide receiver's head. Like those are the type of plays that are going to get you beat. So they got to play close to flawless in this game. But like I said, I feel like they have a better chance of winning this football game than they do against Philadelphia. Why? Because I feel like Jalen Hurts just kind of provides a little bit more of a threat, because he will scramble outside of the pocket. He will move. Dak can move, but Dak isn't looking to move. Dak is looking to make plays from the pocket. So I do feel like the Saints have a really good chance of winning this football game. When you have those receivers and you can line up, in man-to-man coverage, and you don't have to too much worry about having a spy in the middle. Yeah, like I said, Dak will scramble, and you got to watch him every now and then. But, he ain't trying to do what Lamar Jackson is doing or Jalen Hurts is doing, trying to, they actually got run plays designed for him to actually scramble. So I think that this could be a good matchup for the New Orleans Saints. And if they play their position, if they play disciplined football and they keep the mistakes down and they just keep it close, run the ball, control the time of possession, kind of speed up the game, I think they can win this football game. I really do. I really feel like they can win. They have a really good chance of winning this football game. So anybody that just feels like they don't, I don't know what to say. I don't know how or why you would have that indication. Like if you look at, the tail of the tape, because both teams, have, players that can make plays, but they also have players that can counteract everything that they do. They got Trayvon Diggs over there. They got Deron Bland. They got Jordan Lewis. They got some talented guys in their secondary, but the Saints pretty much match up with them just the same. So you combine the Clint Kubiak, Mike Zimmer aspect of the thing. You combine the fact that the New Orleans Saints, can play man across the board. You combine the fact that, if you get pressure on Dak Prescott, you can kind of, get them down on the ground, so hopefully those things can actually come into play. But I think that the Saints have a really strong chance of winning this football game. And we'll get into that later on in the week. We'll talk a little bit more about it. We'll talk about some of the injuries, especially like for Marshawn Lattimore. Will he be able to play in a game? But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Sorry I didn't go long today, but like I said, folks, I just got off the plane. Just wanted to make sure I do a show just to talk a little bit about this game. I'll make sure that we do a longer show on tomorrow. And tomorrow I'll open up the phone lines to you to hear what you all have to say, your feelings, your views about the game, the game on Sunday as well as the game versus the Dallas Cowboys. Did the Saints change your mind about what you feel like they can be in 2024? Comment down below, like and share this video. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Once again, my name is Timothy J. Jones. We got 400 people watching this right now. If all 400 people hit the like button, man, this show would grow. This show would be exactly where we need it to be. So I'm just asking, if you like the content, if you like the show, I'm just asking you to hit the like button, okay? I would really appreciate that. You can check out previous episodes right here on Facebook. Or Facebook. Well, yeah, I am on Facebook right now. Facebook, also on X, as well as YouTube.com, man. So you can check it out on those platforms. And also the NFC South Roundtable. The NFC South Roundtable, you can check that out. YouTube.com, search NFC South Roundtable. We're on every Tuesday at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube, and you do not want to miss it, man. I guarantee you, because them Falcon fans, I can tell you this right now, they were saying a whole bunch of stuff, boy. They were talking about how we the past and they the present. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. We'll be there, and we'll be breaking down week 1, talking a little bit about what the teams have done and what moves needs to be made in order for them to gain momentum or then to build on the momentum. Once again, NFC South Roundtable on YouTube. Thank you so much. We're powered by BetUS. Once again, sign up today. Get up to 150% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Use the promo code YouTube150. Till next time, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.